Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Nick Egan Times. On this episode we have an awesome guest. We have Sandra Irving. Sandra Irving is a wellness and business coach who works with people wanting to make a change but don't know where to start. She guides her clients through decisions and introduces them to helpful strategies along the way to increase their results. Sandra spent many years mastering the art of living in flow with the unfolding of her life and loves empowering others to do the same. While she's been living in flow, she has also found herself working with leaders of organizations, implementing systems, processes, and behavioral change programs to increase well-being and performance. Sandra is a certified NLP practitioner. Welcome, Sandra. Thanks for coming on my podcast.
Nick, glad to be here.
How's it all going over there on your side?
Yeah, it's been all right. Sydney's in lockdown at the moment, so as you can imagine, we're doing the best we can in the times we're in.
Exactly. Can only control what we can control. How has life affected you since the pandemic's begun?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's affected me in the way where I'm unable to go into the office for work. So I've just been working from home quite a bit, and that's been fine. I've been able to manage that because my work is primarily remote, so I can work from online and anywhere in the world. However, I've seen a lot of my clients have had a lot of distressing experiences of recent, and they're claiming that it's due to the pandemic and the restrictions. So I've noticed a lot of my clients asking about different techniques and strategies to help them navigate through these times. And so I've had to increase a lot of the things I do in my day-to-day that help me with keeping calm and keeping at peace within myself. So I've just been encouraging them to do the same as well.
Sensational. Let's just jump straight into it. Tell me about your life story, so how it all began for you, your family and growing up.
Yeah, family and growing up, I was a child of 5, so we had a lot of fun times in the family. We've got a big Italian and Greek family. I've got some fairly loving and kind parents. They're quite old school, so to speak. They're quite strict with their religious and cultural ways. They're fairly, enforced when I was younger. A lot of religious and cultural norms on me when I was growing up, and so I did have to unlearn and relearn lots of different things to be who I am today. And what else? Yeah, family's quite creative family, quite athletic. But one thing that we all share in common in my family is a passion for helping others. We're all very involved and invested in behavioral change, whether that be psychology, social work, the community through like first aid. My family's fairly involved in helping others and people get through hard times and difficult times. So we've always connected and worked together to help create an impact or a positive impact in our community or in our friendship circles or our family circles.
Yeah, fabulous. I can relate to. I've got Greek heritage, so I can definitely relate to you on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you done much traveling internationally?
Yeah, I've traveled I'd say over about 14 countries in the last few years. I did a bit of solo traveling recently before this whole pandemic, and that was really fun. I learned a lot about myself and what some of my preferences were through traveling, which was quite interesting. And yeah, I've got lots of family over in Milan in Italy, so I visited quite a few of my family members and went to Greece with a few of my cousins, and that was quite fun. But I do really enjoy, lots of different Asian cuisines, so I'm looking forward to going to Japan when this lockdown stops.
Yeah, for sure. All right, tell me about the career side of things now. when did you realise that this was the path you're going on, and how did it all transpire? So how did you get to where you are, I guess, now from previously?
Yeah. So I started seeking out a formal way of being able to help people come to their own realizations in about 2016. I had an innate ability of attracting men and women who had quite extensive challenges that they were working through. And so some of those challenges could be women or men suffering with stress, anxiety, and depression symptoms. That could be things like a whole array of different behaviors that fall within those spectrums. But one that comes to mind specifically was intrusive thoughts, or it could be, let's call it limiting beliefs. So beliefs that people were having about themselves that were stopping them from being the best version of themselves. And so when I was quite young, I had a lot of these people coming to me asking me questions about how they should go about their life, and asking me, sharing their experiences with me. And I found it quite difficult to be able to help them without being an advisor. I found myself in a position where I was telling them what to do. And so if you've ever told someone what to do when they're in a negative state, you'll know very quickly that they get quite you get quite an adverse reaction from that. And so I learned fairly quickly how to change the way I spoke and manipulate the way I speak to evoke change from people. And so it was all about asking the right questions rather than telling them what they need to be doing. And so it empowers the person to make the change, and it also stops their journey from becoming something that I want from them. And it also made them create their own path and create their own journey, because, more often than not, we think that, one specific way is what's best, and we tell people that that's the way. And then when we recognize that we've done that, we can quickly find out that we actually stopped them from going on a path that was way more better serving for them than what we could have ever transpired for them and created in our minds for them. And so I learned that at quite a young age. I was about 15 or 16 or so 10 or 15 years ago. And so I learned that quite quickly, and I went on a journey through life coaching, and I became a certified life coach, which was all around like NLP techniques, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And how do you ask these questions to help people elicit, change of thought patterns and change of, the way that they view the world, and how do you get them from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And it was just a really interesting experience, because I actually learned how to shift my perspective for myself through that journey and start thinking more positively for myself. But then it gave me all of the tools to be able to help create change for people. And so it's all about asking the right questions, having the right framework or structure for them to move through to be able to get them from step A to step B. So where they are now to where they're going. That's basically my journey. Yeah, that's how I got here. That was the journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really insightful. What advice do you have for anybody suffering from anxiety or anything on the lines of that? What, if they're listening, that any tips or anything that you could briefly share that could help them?
Yeah, for sure. So anxiety is a tough one. There are different ways that anxiety plays out for different people. So a common way could be racing thoughts. And so having racing thoughts could be a reaction to multiple different things. So when, for example, someone has pain in their physical body, that can stimulate racing thoughts. So it's like the reactivity to physical pain stimulates the brain's neuroreceptors. And so some advice would be go and see a chiropractor or a physio to go and relieve some of the pain and the tension in your physical body. Exercise, moving your body. That's one really good way to help reduce anxiety. And also, on top of that, movement and exercise actually produces specific chemicals in the brain that help produce things like serotonin, which is a happy hormone, which helps you start increasing the positive types of thoughts. So because you can have positive racing thoughts as well, but obviously those racing thoughts can be shifted. Let's just call it the color of them can be shifted if you do some exercise. So that's number one. If you've got a little bit of pain in the body, that could be triggering it. Or another way also could be another form of anxiety. Let's stick with racing thoughts. It could be coming from having unresolved trauma. So there could have been some traumatic experiences in your past that may have caused you to potentially have belief patterns that are quite difficult for you to let go of. So it could be self-doubt. It could be anger. It could be grief. It could be fear. A lot of negative fear-based patterns tend to have a large impact on the thoughts that some may have. There is also so if you look at it from two perspectives, you have experiences that either bring pleasure or pain. Two experiences. So you either have a positive experience or a negative experience. You have a pleasure or pain. And, there are some times where the lines get blurred and some people have painful, pleasurable experience because they enjoy the pain, but that's another thing. But you've got the vast majority of people tend to have pleasurable or painful experiences, and what happens is throughout your journey, what a traumatic event it doesn't have to be a negative event. It can actually be a positive event that you've clung on to, right? And so what a trauma is it's almost like it's something that you haven't let go of. It's something that hasn't passed through you. It's something that you've either suppressed or clung onto in your journey. And what that does is it creates an attachment or an association to it. And so once you've created an attachment or a desire towards something, and you don't let go of it, your brain keeps entering that filing cabinet, let's just say, of that experience and keeps repeating it like a broken record. And so when you're having racing thoughts, it's that you've had a lot of experiences that you may not necessarily have let go of. You may not necessarily have moved past. So you're thinking about the past, or you're thinking about the future. You're thinking about all of the things in the future that could happen based off those experiences. So it's quite simple when you think about what you need to do. Some of the things you could do, and if I may mention, is meditate. You're just really taking the time to meditate. And then that's when you get the opportunity to slow down, be aware of your thoughts, understand that where are the thoughts coming from. So asking those quick questions of where is that coming from? Why is that there? Why am I thinking that? Really getting down to the root cause of where it's coming from helps you recognize what you need to let go of. So once you recognize that there's something at the root cause causing that thought to come up, then you'll know, okay, when I was 15, I did something that impacted me and created this thought pattern that's subsequently been showing up for the last 20 odd years. Okay. So when you meditate, it's a tool to help you assess and analyze your mental landscape, your brain, what's going on. And so when we start becoming really familiar with all of the different thoughts that are triggering off in our mind, we get really good at working out what we need to let go of. And so when you start recognizing that you're having thoughts about work, for example, it could be that there are a lot of unresolved tasks or a lot of work stresses or a lot of things that you're not doing effectively at work, or that you are obsessing about at work. And so there's quick tools to be able to let go of things like that as well. Like, for example, you could calendarize everything, get all your tasks prioritized, or you could maybe take some leave off work and reduce your workload, or focus on a lower amount of responsibilities. So there's a lot of different ways to stop the intrusive thoughts and the racing thoughts, which is highly associated with high levels of anxiety. But there are definitely a lot of simpler things as well, like just stopping and breathing and taking some deep breaths and just really recentering yourself and accepting the present moment is also a really big one as well.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Thanks for sharing that. It's really helpful and really insightful. All right, tell me about, I guess you touched on it a little bit just then, but specifically the topics of meditation, vibrational frequency healing, the self-construct and its conditioning, the art of letting go, and the behavior change. Can you just, I guess, elaborate a little bit further on how they all, I guess, relate and how that all works on that side of things?
Yeah, definitely. So the self-construct ideally is who we see ourselves as. So who we are we? Who is Nick Egan, right? So Nick Egan is a collection of thoughts and behaviors and feelings and a collection of those things based off two factors, nature and nurture. So who you were born as and who you've become over time, what society and what your family and what the culture of what your cultures nurtured you to become. So your self-construct is your psyche and all of the other different parts of your self, let's just call it. And what you have is the power to change that. You have the power to change your belief system. You have the power to change your behaviors. You have the power to change what you speak about, what you do, what you think about, all of these sorts of things. Now, what happens is we start to think that we are not changeable, that we are who we are and we're born as who we are. And so what we need to recognize is that when we have the power to change, when we believe we have the power to change, we become a master of our own destiny. And so there are certain things that we are unable to control in society. However, what we think, what we feel, and what we do is completely within our choice. Now, a lot of people have lived a certain lifestyle for many years and have become a certain person over many years, right? And so when you think about, the challenge of change, for some people it sounds like Mount Everest to try and change their self-construct, okay? But once they put little changes into play, they start seeing the results and they become addicted to the feeling of change. There's actually a hormone associated with a reward associated with achievement. And so there's a mental hormone associated to achievement. And so what we can do is make small changes. And so here are some tools to help you change. Now, let's just say if you focus on a future self, who you want to be in the future. You focus on your values, what values you want to live by, what purpose you want, what lifestyle you'd like, all of the different things about what's your best self? Who is Nick Egan as his best self? So what's the complete feeling of contentment and peace and happiness and joy? When you use these tools like visualization and kind of future self-planning, you get really clear on the future of who you are. And so that's an external motivator, right? So you're externally motivated, like, yep, I want to be that type of person. I'm going to do everything in my power to be like him. What happens is feelings of dissatisfaction, so dissatisfaction and anger or resentment or frustration comes when you don't get there quick enough because you feel how good it would feel if you think about the future self and you just want it now. And so it's not about being dissatisfied with who you are now. It's about accepting who you are now as to be your best self in your current state. But it's about a progressive journey, falling in love with the journey of becoming your best version of yourself each day. So it's not about, the end result is the best result. It's the result of the journey is the result. So that comes into play when you're looking at your self-construct. And so some of that is like looking at your belief systems and looking at, okay, well, if I'm going to change who I am because I want to keep becoming a better version of myself and increasing my happiness and joy and well-being, how am I going to do that? So meditation is a big one. Vibrational frequency healing. So vibrational frequency healing, what it does is it changes the actual vibration of your quantum energy. So on an energetic level, we're all made up of particles and we all vibrate on different frequencies. Our whole body, all of our organs have frequencies, our heart, everything, our lungs, everything has a frequency. So if we listen to YouTube videos that have positive frequency vibrations, we can actually change the tune of our body. So if we've had a long life full of anger, let's just say, as an example, we'll have a specific vibration that when we tune into it energetically, we can actually pick up on that vibration and read it as anger. So that's where people have like things like kinesiology. You can talk about like different emotions, how they associate with damaging different parts of the body, Chinese medicine, acupuncture. It all comes back to like the vibrational frequencies impacting people's organs and body parts. And so when we tune into these frequencies, we can see whether there's low frequencies or high frequencies throughout the body. And so it's almost like you are recalibrating your body and your energy and your frequency to the frequency of a positive one. So if you listen to positive frequency music, what you'll do is you'll calibrate certain parts of your body to that frequency, and then in turn improve your well-being just through sound healing. So that's a really good and easy way to do it throughout sleep. So putting it on at nighttime when you're going to bed and just listening to 8 hours. You may not feel like you've had the best rest in the morning, but you definitely will feel recalibrated. How many restless nights of lack of sleep have people had out there? You know, I'm sure you can fit 1 or 2 nights a week in of sound frequency healing, and it's going to be something different, but it's a good way to replace the racing thoughts in people's minds at nighttime anyway. So, sound frequency is a really good one. And then just healthy eating and exercise and drinking lots of water is another good way to just make sure that you're living well. Of course, less processed food, the better. Whole foods and healthy foods. And so the third thing you asked about there was how it intertwined was, I think you asked something about what was the last thing there, Nick?
Conditioning and the art of letting go.
Yeah, so the art of letting go is a really good one. So with your conditioning, like I said to you, we've become a certain person over the years, okay? And so we say statements unconsciously like, oh, I'm like that, or I do that, or yeah, me too. And it's like, well, who's you, or who are you? You're defining yourself each day. And so when we choose to redefine the person we are is when we decide to let go of who we are, who we've already created. So the art of letting go is really about letting go of the conditioned self and saying, thank you for serving me from where I am today, but I'm wanting to embrace a journey of recreation and essentially aligning yourself to recreate with divine truth, really connecting in your heart and thinking about who do I want to be? You know, do I want to feel compassion? Yes, I do. Do I want to give kindness? Yeah, I do. And for some, it may be that they are quite content with feeling things of anger and sadness, and that's okay for them. If that's what serves them, that's okay for them. But there's a lot of study that shows that the feelings of sadness and anger deteriorate the body and the organs. So when it comes to, what type of life you want to live, it's a choice that you have to create. And so the art of letting go of who you were and accepting who you were is key, because then only you can fully embrace who you're becoming.
Yeah, cool. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I definitely love the last part too. I think a lot of people can relate to the art of letting go. A lot of people hold on to stuff. So yeah, I definitely believe that's really important and great information that you shared. All right, tell me about, let's get away from that for a second. So how does your business work? So do you actually coach people individually, or do you do groups? How can people actually get in touch with you to actually join up and obviously get your support and help?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. So my business is called Change, And so change ultimately works with both individuals in a one-on-one setting and a group setting. At the moment, we only have limited availability for the one-on-one sessions, but it is through ongoing coaching through a program. And we also have a group setting program which runs throughout the year. So they can, if anyone wants to work with me, you can book in what we call, it's like a one-on-one session to have a look at your current situation and work out whether or not we can help you. So you just need to apply and have that application go through, and then we can book in that assessment session. So if you just have a look on our website at www.change.com.au, you can book in with us straight from that website.
Amazing. What inspires Sandra daily? What makes you be passionate about what you're doing and what inspires you?
The results we get for our clients, the quality of life, just seeing the change in other people, being able to help people with things that I've implemented in my life that have helped me change. So just feeling like I'm being called to certain people. Interestingly enough, a lot of my clients speak to me about their challenges and their things that I've gone through or things that I've helped people with. And so, to be able to share the knowledge of how to heal, for lack of a better word, who we are and become more in alignment of who we truly are. That's what lights me up each day, to just be able to help those people and see how happy they are when they get their transformations.
Fabulous. If you were 18 again and you could go back in time and you could change anything, what would you change?
Nothing.
No, fair enough. Good answer.
Nothing. I'm happy with whatever's served me, because who knows where I'd be today if I went back and changed something. Yeah,
for sure. And do you have any other hobbies or anything aside from obviously what you do?
Meditation is a big one.
Yeah.
Work. Work a lot.
Yeah.
Acting. So I was an actress. I like playing a role of a character to help inspire people. So, acting was a passion and a hobby of mine when I was much younger. And so that was quite fun. So it was mostly, to be honest, it was actually, improv. So improvisation. It was like being in the moment, saying whatever was on our mind and just being one with the experience. I just loved being able to see what was unexpected and what was going to show up. It was just fun. It was just a really exciting, experience.
Impressive. Sandra, thanks for coming on my podcast. I do appreciate it. I wish you all the success with everything you're doing. You're doing amazing. You're obviously on a great trajectory. And, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.